Go live. Okay, and we're live today. Thank you everybody for joining us today. We have amazing guests that are gonna be talking about Codecademy Docs and what they are, what they do, why you should be excited about this, why you should be contributing for this. You'll be learning all the intricacies behind the scenes. So without further ado, you want to go introduce yourselves, please?
Yeah, what's up, everybody? My name is Sunny. I'm a senior curriculum developer here at Codecademy, and I currently manage the curriculum free team. I'm calling in from Brooklyn, New York today, and I'm super excited to have two people on my team, Christine and Brandon, here with me. So want to introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi, everybody. My name's Brandon, and I'm a content contributor here on the free team at Codecademy, and I'm calling in from Massachusetts. It's great to be here. Thanks, everybody.
Hi, I'm Christine, and like Brandon, I'm also part of the content curriculum free team, and I'm calling in from Philadelphia today.
Cool. Yeah, welcome, everybody. And for those of you watching, type in the chat, let us know where you're calling in from. If you have any East Coast people here. We're super pumped for today's live stream. We got a pretty good crew here. I think there are going to be a lot of great takeaways for contributors and learners, watching right now. So we got Mariana, Eugene, nice, Alex, Lillian. Let us know let us know in the chat. And to catch you up on what we're up to, so last week, Fed and I did a live stream together where he interviewed me on some high-level aspects of Codecademy Docs, our brand new product feature. So take a look if you missed it. For today, we're going to do more of a deeper dive where we will first do a demo of Codecademy Docs. Then we're going to do some walkthroughs. So first, we're going to walk through GitHub repo where all the content is stored. We're going to do a walkthrough of the contribution guide, basically the quality standards for creating new entries. And then also GitHub issues, basically a bulletin board where you can request new entries. And the second half of this live stream, we'll do a live review of some of the recent pull requests. So taking a look at the recent entries created by the community. We've never done something like this before, so I think it's going to be pretty fun. And at the very end, if we do have time, we can have some Q&A session in the very end. So feel free to let us know what you think in the chat throughout the live stream. But if you have some burning questions that you want to ask, feel free to ask it at the end. Cool. We got a lot of people from all over the world. It looks like Philippines, Canada, Bermuda, Eugene, Oregon. Nice. Oh, that's Mikey. One of the pull requests we're going to review. Pennsylvania, Colorado. Cool. All right. Should we get started?
I think so. You guys are ready? I'm ready. I'll be watching the back.
So first things first, Codecademy Docs demo. So I'm going to be sharing my screen for the rest of the live stream. For those of you that are new, Codecademy Docs is an open contribution coding documentation for popular programming languages and frameworks. It's built by the community and maintained by Codecademy. So similar to Wikipedia, anyone in the world can add or edit an entry. We're hoping to build the perfect companion, the perfect coding documentation site for you when you're working on a project, when you are stuck, when you want to look up a definition, a function name, a method, or whatever concept, okay? I'm going to drop the link in the YouTube chat right now for you to take a look. So we have 18 topics here on the left, anywhere from C to C++, Python to JavaScript, okay? We also recently launched our V2 feature, which basically encourages, we're trying to focus on encouraging contributors, the contribution side of things. So here is a community leaderboard to highlight and also celebrate some of our most active contributors. So if you want to, say, look up JavaScript array, what you can do is very simple. Click into the JavaScript topic, and then navigate to the arrays concept. For each concept, so this is an entry, by the way. This is a Codecademy Docs entry. So for every entry, usually there is an explanation, some code blocks. For this one in particular, you can find out how to create an array, how to access an element of an array using an index. And check this out. If, for example, you want to learn how to merge two arrays or how to connect two arrays, the first thing they can do, well, actually check this out. Here we have a terms table, okay, where you can find all the arrays methods for JavaScript. And you can also click into these. Here's a concatenation string method. Again, an explanation, a basic syntax, a few examples. And here's something pretty neat, a code byte example, a basically interactive a code block where you can actually run the code and see the output. Pretty cool. So we currently have about 714 entries, 90 of which are created by the community. As of this morning, we have 98,661 distinct users, which means that we're going to actually surpass 100K distinct users probably this weekend or next week. And that's pretty much Codecademy Docs. Any questions before we move on to the GitHub repo? So Brandon actually has something pretty good. So is anybody familiar with using GitHub? Should we do a session right now on what is GitHub? Type in the chat and let us know. Okay, we got one, Eugene. All right, I think one is enough. Brandon, do you want to take it away?
Yeah. Hi, everybody. So for those of you who aren't familiar with GitHub, GitHub is a source code service that hosts over 200 million remote repositories for developers to commit and push their changes from their projects. It uses Git, which is a distributed version control language for collaborating on projects, both individual and group, both personal and professional. And GitHub is where Codecademy Docs hosts all of its source code. And to talk a little bit more about the repository for docs, I'll pass things off to Christine.
Yeah, so this is our main branch for Codecademy Docs, and we can see a few folders here as well as some extra files. We don't need to be too knowledgeable about like what's going on in the files to contribute to docs, but just know that like these hold our extra configurations as well as like some tests and dependencies. So if we actually scroll down, Sunny, if we could scroll down onto the page and take a look at our README. Yeah, the README just kind of goes over like what exactly Docs is, what stage of development that we're on, as well as people who are contributing right now, our content team, our amazing engineering team who put Docs together. And if we scroll down a little bit more, it kind of gives us how we can contribute. So we can click on that link that brings us to our contribution guide. We'll head over there. Yep, and here is a little closer look at how we can contribute a pull request. So this starts with forking from our project repository, and you can find that button all the way at the top of our repo. It's just like a button click away, and then you'll be able to fork our repo onto your own. It also goes over like a little bit more details of after you submit a pull request, what you can do from there. And if we actually go back to our main repo and take a look at some of the folders there. So we'll mainly be working out of the content folder, which holds a list of all the topics that we have on Docs, such as C, C++, CSS, and other frameworks. If you're not too sure of where you should place your content, definitely just take a look at the docs website and see where the information that you may want to add will fit into. If we even want to maybe click on one of these topics to have a look-see into kind of an example of one of our entries. Yeah, so we'll click on the arrays and click on the arrays markdown. So we can see here, this is like the structure or the template in a way we could refer to when we're trying to create our entries. And if you want to take a closer look into some of the entry templates that we have, we can go back into our main repository. And if we actually scroll up into one of our folders there, into the documentation folder, we have the different templates that we can use, such as our entry template, or if we want to create a term entry, we have templates for that as well. We also have, if you look at the top of our file, we have some metadata. And for that, you can find it inside of the content catalog markdown, as well as the subjects and tags markdown. So there's a lot of information on here. I strongly encourage you to take a look and like parse through to figure out how you can start off with your first entry. And maybe we can then dive into the issues tab and the pull requests tab from here.
Sure, I can take the issues one. So at the top of the docs repository, you'll see the issues tab. Click on issues, and that'll show you all of the current issues for like new entries that we'd like to add to docs, what existing entries we'd like to make changes to improve the quality, and here and there like a bug fix or two, but that's extremely rare. This is where you would go if you want to propose an idea for how to make docs better or grow it more. To do that, you'll want to click on the green button that says New Issue. By clicking on that button, it'll bring up 3 options for creating 3 different kinds of issues using GitHub's new issue templates. So the first is bug report. Again, that's a very rare occurrence. Then there's entry edit, which is a request to edit an existing entry. And then there's entry request, which is probably the most common one. You're going to want to use that if you want to propose a brand new entry for the docs repository. So this is where all of the issues are handled. The maintainers, including myself and Christine and Sunny, normally use these when we want to grow the collection a little bit more and give opportunities to people to contribute. But you're more than welcome to file an issue yourself. My only recommendation, though, is if you're using iOS and you're using the GitHub app, it's not going to work, unfortunately. They don't have configuration for YAML templates yet. So if you want to make an issue, do it on the web, on the desktop site for GitHub.
Cool. Thank you, Christine and Brandon. That was a great overview of our repo. Make sure to start this, right? So that you can find it easily next time, Codecademy Docs repo. And also one more thing is that Codecademy Docs repo, Codecademy Docs actually is probably the perfect open source project for open contribution project for new developers, for learners who want to dip their feet into the world of open source or GitHub or UGC and things like that. So please take a look, read through as much as you can. And also another thing that I think Christine pointed out that's really cool is that when you first start out doing this, you can just literally compare a particular entry, for example, like the C++ entry in GitHub to what it looks like on our site. Right? If you go to C++ arrays, so basically this entry right here, right? Like a vector, an array is a data structure using C++, like a vector, an array, boom. So basically this renders into this. All right, let me see if there's any questions in the chat. Before we, I think let's take a moment here and answer some questions because we're about to do some live reviews of PRs. So let's knock out the questions about GitHub a little bit just right now. So question from Alex. Is there a Discord for just the people who are contributing to Codecademy Docs? Invite, please. There is a Discord for the community. So feel free to find us there. And if you make a bunch of entries and we think, it's really high quality entries, we'll invite you to our Codecademy Docs community Slack. Okay, the channel in our headquarters Slack channel. Another question: can we make direct PRs? Yes. So for example, if you see a typo or an error, feel free to click on every single entry. You can click on this link right here. Edit this page on GitHub. It's a very easy way to get you directly to GitHub. Fix a typo. Let's say array is misspelled. Boom, and then commit the changes here if you have some description. A very low effort, low lift way of editing an entry. And that's the cool thing about Codecademy Docs too, is that not only there are so many ways to contribute to it, like Christine was saying, you can find typos, bugs, formatting issues, inaccuracies, missing info in existing entries. You can create an entry, make a PR and create a new entry. You could submit an entry request in GitHub issues for things that you think are missing on GitHub, on Codecademy Docs, like a new language, a new library, a new particular function. Another thing too, you can give us product feedback using the Google form at the home page, or actually at the very bottom of every single entry right here, right? A product feedback. And lastly, you can also help us promote it on social. Cool. All right, let's get to the second portion of this live stream, which is we're going to do some live reviews. So I'm going to navigate to the pull request sections. So here are some of the pull requests from the, check this out. There's one from 30 minutes ago. Nice. But here are all the pull requests in the last 9 days. And we're going to take a look at a few of these live together as a team. Okay, so the first PR that we're going to take a look at is PR number 455. This is a very small one. And this is from Mikey from Eugene, Oregon, or Mickey McKiff, the username on GitHub. So I'm going to send out this GitHub link in the chat. So this one in particular is an edit of an entry. I think it's a CSS animation one. Okay, so anytime we see something like this, which is an edit of an existing entry, the first thing that we like to do is actually just take a look at what this entry looks like already, right? So it's a CSS animations. So I'm going to navigate to CSS animations. Cool. And it made a very small change, right? If you can take a look, it's actually just adding a few lines to an explanation on line 23. Brandon and Christine, you want to take a look and let me know? What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's a pretty straightforward change. It's only technically one line on the file with added text on that line. What I would change about this though is I would surround animation dash duration with backticks, and I would actually, they didn't make this change in the original file, but I'm noticing in the paragraph above it, it's using a you pronoun. We want our docs entries to be more manual-like in tone and voice. So that's something that I caught looking at this just now was on line 21, the second sentence, when you specify styles, that needs to be redone.
Cool. So first thing first, let's go in here and add single ticks around animation duration. Okay. To get animation to work, the animation must be bound to an element. That's original piece. And it's basically, this line is basically describing the code block right here. Mm-hmm. And Mikey actually added another line here, which is to get an animation to work, the animation must be bound to an element, and the animation duration field must be defined. In this example code, the H1 element will load as yellow and gradually change to orange over the course of 5 seconds. And because I have Grammarly extension on, I'm going to add a comma right here, right? And also there's a slight typo, the H1 element. Let's start review. Very nice. Finish my review with one comment saying one little change. Submit review, and boom, we're done for this one. And then later down the road, if we want to, we can go in and make a change to from the U to be less to something else. What Brandon was saying earlier was right here, line 21. Cool. I think that's pretty good for this piece, right? And after we're done with that, what we like to do is go back to conversation. We add a label. So this is
CSS.
CSS enhancement, right? Enhancement, and also waiting for author. So 3 different labels. So now when we go back to the pull request, we'll see that for this particular PR, there are 3 labels: CSS enhancement, meaning it's not a new entry, it's edit of an existing entry. And it's also, we're waiting for the author to make the change. So, and once the author makes a change, we can merge it. Cool. And then before we dive into the next pull request, I do want to share something I think is pretty nice. What do we look for when we review a pull request? Okay. When it's an existing entry, like what we just reviewed, I think it's pretty simple, right? We take a look, it's not a huge change, but when it's a new entry, this is sort of the things that we actually do take a look at. We take a look at plagiarism. We take a look at the content and structure, right? File names, the file system. We look at the style editorial, right? The formatting of the piece, the technical accuracy, and also some of the guidelines that we suggest in our contribution guide. Cool. Let's dive into the next PR. So the next PR that we have is PR number 456. Okay. This one is created by Keenan, aka Revert, and it's actually a new entry. Okay. I add an explanation of the tag in the folder, content HTML tag under the folder embed. And check this out. This entry right here is actually came about from an issue. So somebody actually requested an issue here. Actually, oh wow, Christine requested an entry, requested a GitHub issue. And this Revert Keenan basically made the entry. So let's take a look. Okay, so this is a pretty short piece. It's 24 lines long. As you can see, there's a metadata at the very top and also the content at the very bottom. Christine, you want to walk us through this one?
Yeah, so typically, I don't know if we mentioned that, like we do 2 rounds of reviews for entries that have like a decent amount of information in there, unless like it's a typo, in which case we just do a single review and usually merge that. For this one, it was a really decent review. It's pretty bite-sized, I would say. There were some certain things, like if we have the syntax down here on line 23, that maybe there could be like an explanation on the attributes that we included.
Yes.
So I would probably just put a comment onto that line and say, like, if we can include some explanation as to the syntax that's listed here. In addition, on like line 16, if we can add a suggestion there. And also it's really helpful to have the Grammarly extension installed on your computer, like how you do Sunny, so that you can catch things that maybe your eyes wouldn't be able to catch all the time.
Totally. Like
And another thing, yeah.
like
another
this
yeah.
one's missing like a period right here, right?
Yeah. Another thing is just, I like to add like little notes inside of certain entries. If there's like some things that maybe a reader could take extra note of. So like embed, for example, is a deprecated tag. So it's good that they mentioned there that there's like other tags that you can use, but we just included it here for like legacy purposes.
Yeah, that's definitely a note that we want to add, like maybe right here.
Yeah.
Notes. As deprecated, here's some other ones that you can use. Also, I just noticed line 18, I think this is a comment that's not necessary, right?
Yeah, that's not necessary there, but that's all structural and we're like happy to help guide the entry to the state that it needs to get into.
Cool. Christine, are you going to make the comments?
Yes, so I'm just gonna add like a quick period there. Remove that extra comment and then include a quick comment here that maybe we can explain the attribute in further detail here.
Cool. Let me know when you're done and I can refresh the page.
Okay. Hit the refresh button.
Cool. Very nice. Added a comment here. Add a period right there. Deleted the line 18, that's not necessary, and then a feedback right there. Okay. Let me take.
I would also add another note though for line 3 under the description. I don't know if it makes sense to have embed in quotes to define embed. It seems a bit recursive. I wouldn't just say like allows one to insert content like videos and images.
So you don't want to be what's it called? A recursive definition or whatever it's called.
Yeah, like GNU or something. Yeah, like it doesn't really unpack it any further. And also I would, going back to my earlier point about the last PR, lines 3 and I think it was 21, have you and your respectively. So I would switch those out with a manual tone and voice.
Wait, where is this? Line 3?
Lines 3 and 21.
3 and 21. Cool.
Or no,
yeah,
the
21.
16, sorry.
Line 6.
Cool. So this is something to swap out. Okay. One more thing that I just noticed. So this is kind of, so I'm gonna go to Codecademy Docs. So this one in particular is actually not a regular entry, right? It's a term entry. You can tell because there's a terms table. And so if we navigate to it, it's CSS, tags, wait, HTML? Yeah, HTML, whoops. HTML, and let's go into the tags concept. So this particular terms entry, embed, will actually go in here. But check this out. One thing that we try to do for all of our terms entries is for the description, we start with the verb. Okay. So let's just make the change here. As you can see, creates a link, represents a section of the document. So here, let's do similar to what Brandon's saying, inserts a video, image, page, and also a comma right here. And usually for these sort of things, I kind of want to explain it. For all the terms entries in docs, the description field in the metadata should start with the verb. Also added a crossword comma. So, done. Add a single comment, and we good. One more thing I usually like to check for. Oh, by the way, this person did a great job on the catalog content metadata, right? Perfect. We got a free course. And then we have a front-end engineer career path. One thing I also like to check for is these tags, okay? So I actually have this bookmarked. This is a system that we're going to use down the road, hopefully, to sort our filter for specific entries. So we want to double check images, video, and HTML. I think I already see a problem. So images, boom. Video, boom. Let's check this out. HTML should, oh wait, HTML is in here. Okay, I need to actually take this out. Whoops. Oh, yeah, Python's not here. So because HTML, this is already under the HTML folder, we actually don't need to, we actually don't need the language name here. So I'll say take out line 10. Cool. All right. One more thing, similar to what Christine was saying, I think it's great that there's an example of this, what the syntax of the embed element looks like. And yes, there should definitely be an explanation. But one more thing that we can do to expand this further is to add a use case for this or an example of this within a whole HTML file. So potentially right here, I'm going to add optional, add in a whole HTML file that uses the boom. Okay, so it's basically explanation, syntax, and then example. Hopefully more than one example, but get something cool. All right, let's refresh and take a look at all the changes that we made. Perfect, perfect. Oh wait, is revert in here? Oops, pull requests. Let's go back to. Oh, nice. They're already making the changes right now as we're doing this. Cool. I was like, I don't remember committing that. Cool, perfect. And that's it. I think this one, after this one round of review, I mean, actually what we just did was almost like 3 rounds of reviews, but after this, I think we're gonna take a look again. If it's good, we're gonna merge it in. That's basically the whole process. Cool. Should we move on to our third PR since we still have a lot of time?
Yeah,
I think
sure.
someone asked in the chat something that are contributors allowed to make comments and reviews of PRs, or does only the team do that?
Yeah, absolutely. This is a great question. We actually had a history of a lot of community members making comments and reviews of PRs throughout since the whole inception of Docs, right? So for Docs, we have about, I mean, now we're talking about 458 eighth pull request. We have tons of volunteers who've been helping us, including Eugene, who I saw in the chat. Just plenty of people who have helped with reviews. So yes, feel free to jump in with a review. We still want somebody within the team to, every single entry that's been created requires 2 rounds of reviews. At least 1 round of review needs to come somebody within Codecademy, right? Just to ensure, similar to what I was saying in the last live stream, the first 100, the first 1,000, the quality of the first 1,000 entries sets a tone for the next 10,000, right? So we'll really want to make sure these are super solid. But yes, Alex, feel free to jump in if you see something that needs help. Cool. Let's get started on our very last. Actually, should we check out this one somebody made an entry. So this is something we haven't seen before. This came in an hour ago. Added info on APIs. Just take a.
That's kind of cool. Yeah.
So Han82. Let us know, Han, if you're if you're actually watching this live stream. That's why you made the entry. Cool. Let's see what this person did. So this is an edit of an existing entry. Oh, Ashley. Before we do that, totally forgot. Let's go back into bed and add in the labels. HTML, new entry, waiting for other. Boom. Let's go back to this. This one's done. All right, now let's jump back to this. Han82. Oh, very nice. So this person add a whole new section to an existing entry. So for these existing entries, remember, we like to take a look at what it currently looks like. So API right here. That stands for boom, categories, three groups, public APIs, private APIs, partner APIs. Cool. And this person added benefits and risks of using APIs. The main benefits of using APIs are 1, 2, 3. Okay, so for this, let's do view file. So this is the section this person created. The main benefits of using APIs are 3 bullet points: cost saving through the elimination of the need to build and maintain local physical infrastructure and services. So cost effective. And using an external resource instead of building it in-house. I like that. Opportunity to leverage expertise of different vendors instead of having to reinvent from scratch things like authentication, payment, processing, and maps. So this one, I think, and this one are kind of similar, if I'm reading it correctly. Different vendors. Oh, actually, never mind. This is slightly different. Okay. Possibility to build new businesses based on the exchange of data between users and various online services through API access to independent developers.
I kind of get that.
Yeah, saying
makes me think of like Kapwing. They use a lot of like public web APIs for their video editing softwares and stuff.
Totally. Okay, I think this is pretty solid, right? It's cost effective because you don't have to build it in-house. You can leverage different vendors, Spotify API, the Google Maps API. So instead of or Stripe payment processing, right? Stripe, Map or Gumroad or whatever. Authentication, Google login, Facebook login, Google, right? Magic Link, Maps, Google Maps. I think what's it called? Forgot the name of it. The Map Grid or whatever API. Okay. I would say some of these do overlap slightly, so I'll play around with this a little bit. What do you think? Is this a yes?
It looks good to me. I mean, the ideas expressed in each of the points, I think they do overlap, but they're also kind of like free falling in a way, or like they stand on their own in a way. I would just put a dash in between cost and saving on the first point. I think that's the idea. They're like cost saving.
Right here. Okay.
Yeah.
The main risks associated with using APIs are having no control over vendor's infrastructure or how the vendor allows developers to access it through the API. True, it's basically saying you can't really, it's not really flexible, right? You don't really have the power to sort of update the Spotify API or similar to what the chat is saying, Alex, the Shopify API, right? I think I like that. Unpredictability of the vendor's internal decision-making may have a very adverse effect on businesses relying on the API. So this is a great one. I think this happened recently when Facebook took away some of this is on TechCrunch. I think I read it. It was like Facebook updated one of their APIs and it had a huge impact on some of the smaller businesses, smaller startups using it. Having little or no control over exactly what data the API collects and how it ends up being used by the API's provider. True. APIs are gateways and are often subject to hacker attacks. Once the API is compromised, other system becomes vulnerable. It is commonly predicted that API abuses will become the most frequent vendor of attacks in the coming years. Christine or Brandon, can you copy and paste this? Yeah, actually, you know what? We can check for. So one of the first things what we usually try to do is the first thing. Actually, we usually check for plagiarism and things like that. And I feel like we probably should have done this early on, but it's fine. We'll take a look after this live stream offline. API providers run the risk of legitimate business partners abusing the API to suit their own needs. Okay. I think this is pretty solid from what I see. Christine? Brandon?
Yeah, I feel like some points do overlap and can be placed into like the first and second and third. Yeah, those bullet points. And then maybe we could just like have one overarching theme, which is just like little control or unpredictability, and then list the reasons for that.
I agree. Yeah, combine these three into even one. Okay, Alex actually have some thoughts. API allows you to keep the structure of your database hidden and secure. Since the user interfaces with the app instead of with the database directly, you don't need to expose the URL of your database. I like that. Here's the API instead of database. Cool, that's a great benefit. It's basically saying instead of storing everything. So I actually did this recently with Hurricane. I built a whole JSON file of all the songs instead of using Spotify API. But because now this JSON file is available in this GitHub repo, in the public GitHub repo, anybody can sort of know what it looks like and want to, it can't be compromised, right? Cool. All right, I think that's a great, I think we can go through this and make some changes offline. Thank you. Let us know if you're in the chat, Han28 or Han82. Nice. Seems like this is a new user. All right. So we have 15 minutes left. I think that was a great session. We did a demo. We walked through the GitHub repo and the different aspects of the repo, and also live reviewed 3 different PRs. We do have some time left, so let us know in the chat if you have any questions about Codecademy Docs, about our team, about creating entries. Please let us know. Oh, nice. Han is right here. Cool. Very nice. Great job, Han. That was a great addition to the entry. I think that's the beautiful part about Codecademy Docs is that it's forever evolving, and if it is missing something, anybody can go in and make the change. So hopefully after this, right after this live stream, we'll make some suggestions, and after you make the changes, we're going to merge it in. Cool.
Funny, could you stop the share screen?
Yeah.
Well, that was pretty informative. Thank you, everybody, for all that. I actually had a few final remarks since we have some time left, maybe giving some time people to ask questions in the chat. I'm curious, Brandon, Christina, Sunny, do you come across any common mistakes or things that are like easily fixable, avoidable when you're seeing these PRs? Is there anything that you would like to share with everybody watching this, little tweaks or things that, can save everybody time?
I guess like structural issues is a big thing, but like we can always assist you with that if we don't want that to be like a daunting factor as to why you may not want to approach making those entries. But I think as long as like you have a strong technical content in there, like we'll pretty much accept most of your entries.
Nice.
I would say some of the common mistakes have already been addressed in recent weeks. Formatting and spacing is already kind of getting addressed, and like to the point Sunny made earlier about the content catalog metadata point. That was a common pain point for a lot of our contributors, myself included, figuring out which links, which slugs to use. And so Christine graciously made us a guide for all the different kinds of subjects, languages, and frameworks of the different like free and paid course pairs to use.
Cool. Have you seen anything, Sunny, that you want to share? Maybe any pro tips? 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, I'll say definitely take a look at the existing entries. Something that would be great is just literally copy and pasting an existing entry over and then editing the file from there, just so that you already have the structure down. Save you a lot of time. Brendan?
May I make one more point, actually? Something just came to mind. For new contributors, the first time you make a contribution to Docs, make sure to sign the Contributors License Agreement, or the CLA, because otherwise our CI/CD tooling won't work right, our checks won't pass, and we won't be able to proceed with merging your work into Docs. So very important to make sure you sign that document.
Awesome. Yeah, I guess it's something that is very easy to, you just get so excited and caught up contributing that you just kind of like totally forget about that. Well, unless you have any final thoughts on this or anything, maybe some wish list. I don't know if when you're reading through content so much, is there any specific kind of content that you hope that you're going to see people contributing in the future? Maybe there's some areas that you're like, oh, it would be really nice if we had this or that. Do you have a wish list?
Yeah, I think everybody here got plenty of things that we'll love to see in Docs. For me, especially, I think the breadth and the depth is both something we're looking for. Whether it's machine learning content, different libraries and frameworks for different web dev tools, and even really polishing up the existing entries, right? Like, for example, we just saw one from Han 82 that just made the whole entry a lot more full and more very informative, right? By adding the risk and the benefits of using the API. So now the person who's reading it now will know, okay, why am I using the API? Why should I not use it to make the trade-offs? But other languages like R, I think we have one in Go.
Yeah, and I was just kind of in this awkward live streaming moment, waiting to see if anybody else wants to unmute and jump in.
I would say probably, like what Sunny said, breadth and depth is super, super important. I'd like to make sure that as we're growing the collection, that the collection maintains quality. The quality keeps up with the growth. What I'd like to see more of is probably GraphQL or Gatsby, other like Jamstacky kind of tools, because they're like front-end tooling is only becoming more popular every year, and more people are going to be interested in. And Gatsby especially like comes out with like a new version every 2 weeks that has some kind of a breaking change, it seems.
That seems like a nightmare to maintain. Okay.
What do you want to see?
I think the other day, Brandon and I were talking about React, and on the routing topic, we'd like to see more terms on there.
Cool.
Especially because there's a newer version out with many breaking changes.
All right. Yeah, I was just wondering if, you know how sometimes you have these obscure languages or very specific parts of coding that it's really hard to get help for. You start Googling it and there's like a blog post from 2005 that is like sort of answering your question, and you're hoping, you know, that they have the same problem that you did. So I think sometimes even if people are contributing knowledge that they might think that it's not very popular, it's not very useful, I can guarantee that there's someone out there that is going to be super useful for. So like Sami said, you know, any content you want to contribute, like, you know, don't make it stop you thinking that you don't know enough, or that you know that it's not popular enough, or it's not interesting enough, because there's always somebody out there on the internet that is looking for that help and is looking for that information. So it will be awesome to see Codecademy Docs having all the like, one stop for everything coding documentation related. Well, thank you everybody for stopping by today. It was pretty informative. It was pretty awesome and useful. And I think hopefully we can have you online in a few weeks, or maybe, you know, we can make this an occurrence. Keep going with Codecademy Docs, keep it updated. Thank you for stopping by.
Thank you, everybody, for joining.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
And it stopped.